Hail Pandawans and journeymen walking that illustrated path. So I thought I would share a little step-by-step process of my latest piece I did. This one here is called The Delinquency of Miners. Yeah, see how clever I am? Talking about miners, dwarven miners. Not dwarven kids, but hard digging, hard working dwarves in the mines. So if you're looking at this image, you're probably going, oh my God, that image just resonates. I feel something. Why does that feel so iconic? It's like, well, because I basically ripped it off from the old Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs shot. The dwarves coming out of the mines. Hi ho, hi ho. So I remember seeing this image. And, as you know, in the news lately, there's been a lot of talk about the new Snow White movie coming out, live action. There may or may not be all dwarves in there. But it got me thinking. I'm like, oh, well, I like drawing dwarves. Maybe I can do my homage to Snow White. Now, it's going to be different. I mean, we got the dwarves, what is it? Sleepy, happy, dopey, sneezy, bashful, Doc. I'm going to have my own dwarves. And that doesn't go in order. Let's see if I know it. That's Doc and grumpy, happy. That looks like sleepy, bashful, sneezy, I guess, and then dopey hanging out in the back. Dude, catch up with the group, man. Those that fall behind, stay behind. You're going to get ganked. So, okay, so we're going to start off here. So this is the original one, right? I wanted to kind of tribute this. So I went in and did some rough sketches, right? So I just let me see if I can get my little cursor here to look a little bigger so everyone can see what I'm pointing at and stuff. Boop. That didn't help I almost cursed. Oh, wait, here, we'll use a little anti-sign. There we go. So yeah, basically, I drew in the tree. See, there's a tree there. I didn't copy it, didn't go directly over it. I wanted to have mine have a little bit more of a bow to it, maybe that are coming towards us. But I wanted to get the basic shapes in there, the same kind of position of the trees, the same kind of position of the little cliff that it's laying on. But again, it's not 100% that way. So I started going through and fleshing it out. I'll zoom in so you can see. So I started thinking of like right now, this guy's going to have like a gem in his hand and he's like, yeah. So again, they're not all fleshed out. These guys look like they're either high-fiving or maybe they're, going to be cheersing and beers in there. So, but I did know I wanted the guy that was hanging out behind to be getting ganked, right? Those who fall behind, stay behind, or whatever that saying is from the pirate movies. So I was basically fleshing out my 7 dwarves, or 6 3/4. So from there, I just kept polishing and polishing more, and then the characters start taking on a little bit more. So this guy's got a bag, he's got a gem. He's like the foreman, right? He's not getting himself dirty or going in mines and digging and dynamiting and all that. He's hanging out, calling the shots, and getting all the rewards. And so this guy here, he's pissed. He's like looking at him. He's like, right? So maybe instead of grumpy, he's envy, or maybe he's jelly, right? Jelly dwarf. Sounds like a candy. These two, I like the idea of them drinking. So cheersy and beersy right here. He's going to have a keg, all that. Still hadn't developed this guy yet, so he's kind of just placeholder. Got the shovel. And then there's this guy. He's seeing his buddy get ganked. He's like, So I'm like, oh, maybe he's scaredy dwarf. So let's get back. So I kept fleshing this out. Boom. And now I started doing the clean lines, right? Outlining. So, yep, this guy, he's all clean and fancy and, going to have a big old gem there. This guy's pissed and fuming. He's going to be smoking his pipe just like a chimney, just like Popeye when he gets pissed. Remember that? Little pipe spins around. These guys are just happy to be out of the mine, safe, alive, and they got their beer with the little keg thing. I finally found a thing for this guy here. So he's like their cook. So he's got like sausages and cheese and bread and meat. He's got his little candle up on his head instead of in the little mining caps that they have. So maybe he's what is it, hungry dwarf or something like that, hungry or hangry, and yeah, old Ripsy right here, R.I.P. Or maybe it's Morty, like Mort. Je suis la mort. I guess that means I am death. That's not how you say he is dead. French people, help me out with that. So, and as you can see, I started fleshing in the trees down here. I wanted them where the original one, they're just trees and all that. I made mine like it's kind of leaning in, coming in, threatening. Same with this tree here. And then under here, instead of just a regular rock, I made it kind of like a stone, I don't know, stone troll head or something like that. Trolls turn to stone when they're in sunlight. So maybe since the image is going to be at dawn, he's stone right now. So maybe at nighttime he reverts back. Who knows? So after getting the lines pretty much the way that I wanted them, I'm still going to change and tweak some of these characters, but this is good enough to go to start blocking in just some rough tones. And that sounds like an old 50s band, the Rough Tones, like a doo-wop band. So here we go with a little bit more shadow. So it's all the same line artwork that I showed you earlier. Sorry, boom, boom, and I'm just dropping in layers. So for people who use Photoshop, this isn't anything new, but for people who are not familiar, I'm using what's called multiply layers. Basically what that does is if you make a layer of multiply, it will cover up your image, and it won't cover up the lines. It'll show through. So normally if you're on a white background, it's fine, but because I chose a sort of grayish background, all the stuff that it's multiplying is a little bit darker than it would be on a normal white background. But if you guys haven't, artists out there, if you haven't tried Photoshop, check it out. It's pretty powerful tool. And so, okay, nerds, you're gonna like this because I did. So I had he just had a random gem here. It's your standard kind of diamond cut. And I go, okay, well, he's all super happy and proud. And I saw this gem right here. To me, it looked like the shape of a 12-sided dice. And then this triangle gem here and here looked like a 4-sided and 8-sided. I'm like, all right, well, let's just pop this bad boy in here. So I looked up 20-sided dice, boom, nailed it. So I could have labored for hours trying to get the exact angle and all that, but I found a cool clip art thing of it, and I'm going to draw over it. So consider that time well spent. All right, let's see. So here we go. So I changed up. You can see here I changed this guy to have a. Let's see. Sorry for that. So he had the miner's cap with the candle and all that. And I'm like, well, if he's the foreman and he's all fancy, he wouldn't have the pickaxe, he wouldn't have the miner's stuff. And so he's got the ever fancy. There we go. He's got a cape on now. I got rid of the pickaxe, and he's got the typical kind of horns, and he's got like a gem, and that's going to be how it his light reflecting. Let's see if I changed anything else on these guys. Yeah, so this guy here. Sorry, I keep going back and forth, y'all. So originally, this character here, Cheersy, he had a hammer. And I'm like, okay. Well, I mean, what's he going to be hammering away at? They're done with the mine. So I switched it and gave him an old cigar, reminiscent of my character, Grimbeard, the last dwarf. And so I'm like, yeah, he kind of looks like a little bit of a Grimbeard there. He's got big old bushy beard and stuff. So I'm like, okay, let's do that. So gave him a cigar. He's got a beer and a cigar. The day's off, right? He's ready to hang out. So here is, I'll zoom out. Here is the kind of final-ish lines, final-ish tones. As you can see, I added some little eyeballs in here. So they're stuff creeping, waiting for the dwarves, the tree there. There was another Disney, what was it, the Winnie the Pooh, and he's from the 100 Acre Woods. Well, I always used to draw these pictures. You can probably find some of the old stuff on my Twitter, or art, not ArtStation, was it DeviantArt? But I have pictures called the Haunted Acre Woods, and I would make like scary trees and stuff. I'm not a huge Disney fan. I mean, I saw all the movies when I was growing up, and man, when I was working at the movie theater, we had like Little Mermaid there, and man, that theater was packed constantly. It was great though, because the kids would always leave their little, either stuffed animals or their bags of coins, and we would have them in the lost and found. But if they never came back, you'd you get the coins, you can go to the arcade and play some games, and then you have the little stuffed animals, and you bring them to your girlfriend. Oh, look what I got for you. Oh, that's so sweet. And it's like, that's right. And while you're enjoying it, a child is crying. How dare you? All right, so after I basically established, there was a tangent, after I established the tones here, and so now I'm going in and looking back, let's see if we can, no, I'm not going to go, I'll show you. Remember the colors for the, here, I'll just move it up here. It's a layer, why not? Don't be lazy, Sammy. The colors here were very warm and all that, and I didn't want to do it exactly, so I started adding in a little bit more purples instead of the blues and grays, and a little bit more of the, I don't know, kind of peach, and if we're going to be artsy and fartsy, peach and salmon and all that. And I'm like, you know what? That's just getting a little too, I don't know, pink and purple. That's not a strong dawn color scheme. So what I did is I started nudging it to get more of the browns back in, more of the, if we're going Bob Ross style, some of the burnt sienna and burnt umber, and what is it? What does he call it? All the different colors, I forget, like Indian yellow and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, basically just started warming up the colors. So it felt more like dawn. They just got out of the mines. They're coming back home. And then basically I just start going through. Now this is kind of a big jump. I'm sorry, but I forget to save my progress. But now I'm kind of going in, once I get the base colors established, I'll just start going in and maybe doing like more lighting effect, not effects, but like where light and shadow would pop a little bit more. Like this one feels like there's a, shadow kind of crossing it from maybe a limb above. I'm going in and detailing up the tree trunk a bit. I'm starting to block in that rock troll's face a bit more, showing that it's stone. Putting in some color for the evil eyes that'll be creeping out. This guy over here, he's just like, oh yeah, we're gonna have some dwarves tonight. All right, so now is the part where the real work is, and it's kind of the mundane work. It's fun, but now you're just going through each individual area and like artifying it, right? So here's another pass. I'm trying to get the environment and just kind of get that to the point that it feels comfortable. It doesn't have to be the center of attention. You could argue that this guy is kind of a big focus, even in the final image. And I'm like, that's okay. Your eye kind of will lead down towards here and all that. But I was having fun making it. It's not like this thing needs to be, the greatest work of art in the world. I'm just making some cool art and having fun. And again, sorry for the big jumps in stuff, but I guess I didn't save all the progress on the characters. But what I would do is I would start coloring out the character right over, all the other layers, coloring in the gem, and I'll go in with just like kind of a flat color. And because it's on a multiply layer, I can just color over, and everything underneath, all the shadows, all the areas where they're not the highlights, but like the midtones and all that, that'll take those colors. And then after that, I'll usually work on a layer above it and do like the little highlights and things like that. So here's our Envy Grumpy Jelly Dwarf. So now you can see, okay, the foreman, he's all fancy and wearing bright colors, and he's got jewels and gems, and got the gems from the mine, the 12-sided dice there, and all that. And this guy, he's all grays and browns and just disgruntled, gruntled, pissed off. He's like, and then I put in some rough smoke. Like he's eyeballing this guy like, ugh. All right. So let's see, what do we got? We got these next guys. Oh yeah, so you can see here's some of the block end of the colors where I start, where I was working on Cheersy here. And Beersy, I started roughing in. I'm like, well, let's make one. You know, I draw dwarves a certain way. They're all kind of, you know, burly dudes and all that. I don't know if you guys noticed, but look how like small their legs and feet are. Like I try to make these a little bit more of the whimsical variety of dwarf, not my standard, you know, mountain king kind of dwarf. Like these are squatter, shorter, and they're basically like, you know, square or cylinder with beard and, you know, little arms and feet attached. This guy's like yoked for a foreman who doesn't do anything. And I also changed the color of the gem because I really wanted something when you land it on the page. It's still not final here, of course, but you have this bright object in the right and you can follow it all the way down to poor Ripsy here getting got. So yeah, so going back to the colors, you know, I wanted to give the guy with the libations a bit more of a happy and jovial sort of attitude, you know. Beersy has to be, you know, the counter to Cheersy here, you know. So here he is. He looks maybe a little angry, but he looks a little happy. He's supposed to, you know, his nose is a bit more pink, you know. So he's like, you know, rosy cheeked and pinked and the little white and wispy stuff and the little pom-pom on his thing. So basically a bit more of a, I don't know, whimsical dude. He's got his bottle of hooch here. He's got another tankard drinking out of the horn. And he's got like little pointed boots. It gives it kind of a little, you know, more whimsical sort of take. And check out Hungry here. So yeah, sorry about that. Had my boy ran in here real quick and I had to pause it. So yeah, we got Hungry here, Hungry Dwarf. And you know, he's sitting there kind of like chewing on sausages. I don't know why he's pissed and angry, but just to make him a little different, you know, I put the little thing on top, the candle on top of his head. Gave him an eye patch. He's got like a bigger one braided beard. You know, he has to keep it nice and braided, otherwise it gets in the food. But yeah, he's got some cheese, bread, and sausage, and a big old, like, what is that, like a ham leg or something? Oh, I even did like the little black peppercorns dotted in there. Fat dudes love their food. I'm no different. So yeah, he's sitting there, and then we got the rough colors for Scaredy here. He's like, now he's seeing his friend. He's like, oh no, Lord gracious me. And old Morty here, Ripsy, you don't ever see what's going on with him. Okay, so we're pretty much getting to the final thing. So if we can go through here, let me zoom back. Go here. You can see all the little changes I've done. I've added a little bit more lighting, making it feel a little bit more far away. And I really wanted to add stuff here, but I felt it was just going to take away. I wanted this just to be kind of open and nice with maybe one of those, like, you know, cast shadow or the God rays coming through. And I really wanted to just kind of let the dwarves and the, you know, the foreground environment. So now we got our foreman here, Greedy. That's what we ended up calling him. And this is a little effects pass. You can kind of see where I just added some little smokes to the fire and all that. And if you look right here, I forgot to add in the other tendril kind of sneaking through. I was going to make it more elaborate and all that, but I kind of just wanted this to fade all the way from detailed and happy and then all the way down to here to the more dark and gloomy. And you see even Fraidy Dwarf, Scaredy Dwarf, I didn't really do too much detail on. I just gave him some of the colors. And then there's old Ripsy or Morty. Little candle got knocked off, dropping his rocks. See, all these guys, if you notice, they're all carrying something except for, you know, Mr. Posh Foreman here. This guy's got his bag of rocks. He's got a bag of rocks. He doesn't have to carry rocks because he's got the turbo juice here. He's got the bucket of food. And then they got the bucket of rocks. And then old fancy boy here. I guess he is carrying some. He's carrying all the gems and jewels in his fancy little side bag, man bag. And so after that, all that really needed to be done was the signature. Boom. So I think this took probably about, 15 to 20 hours, maybe. Worked on it like 3 or 4 days for 5 or 6 hours a day. I don't know if that math adds up, but you figure it close enough. But yeah, so this was the original, the 7 Dwarves, Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, and then we have Sam White's and his 7 Dwarfs. And I'm speaking in third person now. How arrogant. But that's it. I hope you all enjoyed this. Here, we'll end it with just the artwork. I hope you all enjoyed this little walkthrough. As you know, I love working on dwarves, and when I heard that dwarves were in the news, it inspired me to go, oh, Snow White. I remember that one scene. I'm going to make that scene in my way and reinterpret it. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed this walkthrough video. And that's all I have for now. So, ABC Pandawans, always be creating. Hail!